And we move on now to our friends from a season 3 interview, the only season 3 interview so far, Rams Review Pod. And since I don't have a Rams scarf just yet, hasn't come in, we're rocking the future champions of the EFL Championship, Everton.
Is it weird when they're going to play Derby in a couple of years in League One?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Okay.
This one is heavily focused on Pro Rel. So we get a chance to dive into Pro Rel. How can we get to Pro Rel with USL growing, MLS developing, and how can MLS invest in the lower divisions to lead to Pro Rel? I will take a stab at this one. I talk too much. Connor, take a stab at this one first.
That's a hard question. I agree that I think the way you have to attack it is to build up from the ground up, because I think there's, as much as we just talked about upsets in the US Open Cup, I still think there's too much disparity between MLS teams and USL teams. Once you can make that like more even, now you're going to have much better Pro Rel, because as of this moment, I feel like you would just see 3 teams pulling a Norwich, where they just go down, come back up, go down, come back up. I have to think on it more. So if you want to jump in here with an idea, I'm not entirely sure how to fund the USL teams yet. I'm thinking on it.
I don't know if the money's necessarily the issue. I think it would have to be, and I have zero details on how this would actually happen, but I think you'd have to set it up in the football pyramid style. So you have to set hard caps on how many teams are in each league. So we can't have 72 teams in MLS in the future. And then you have to make sure that enough money, or equal money, I guess, is being sent down to those USL teams. Because there are some good USL teams that we've seen in the Open Cup that can compete and even beat MLS teams. So like the talent is there. It's now just giving them the incentive and means to continue to develop players, continue to be able to, build their club. Like there's no reason a Phoenix or Indy 11 shouldn't be in the MLS, but you can't tell me that Cincinnati get to win 4 games every year and exist as an MLS team just because, there's no other option.
We were talking about this last episode about how the talent at USL level is much higher than most people think. And I'm not saying that's for all teams, because you do have teams like Red Bull 2 in there that are literally a bunch of 16-year-olds playing against grown men, and they just get romped on. But for the most part, you get really legitimate teams in there who are not going to just lie down. So to get to Pro Rel, you need to have more FCC-like USL team. When they were bringing in 30,000 fans a game, it was the number one thing to do. People really enjoyed it. That needs to start, right? You need to have a good base to fall down to. You can't fall down to nothing. Otherwise, you go back to NASL, and now you're in trouble. That being said, I do think if MLS wants to dive into the Pro Rel agreement, they are going to need to be the ones to take charge and say, okay, we're going to invest in this to make it happen. It's not going to happen overnight. And it won't happen by, as we just talked about last question. If you can't get the Euro snobs to follow the number 1 league, you're not getting them to follow the number 2. It's just not going to happen. So MLS needs to invest in themselves first, bring their ratings up, and then worry about that, which is why I think Pro Rel won't happen right now. But you also need to have some sort of pool. And maybe this is where, big brain here, long term. Maybe this is why when you sell players for $15 million and you only get 750, it's because all going into a bank to set up ProRel so that the first few years that when teams go down, they have a legitimate package to make them survive. Overall, I think the investment into lower divisions isn't actually monetary. It is, well, it'll obviously come with money, but it's not like here is $15 million, go do something with it. It is, hey, we're going to put this money into promoting your league, or we're going to give you this loan to promote your league. We're going to allow you to sign players outside of this, or loan, we'll have an agreement where you loan, like they're doing now with Red Bull 2, Hartford and New York City, whatever. We're going to make that agreement so you can grow your league. We're going to let you build your soccer specific stadiums and have all this stuff. And then we'll allow some of your teams to come up into our league, right? To act as that like promotion and show you what it's all about. The last thing you need to do, I think, is get rid of the old owners who are afraid to lose money if they go down. That is what's holding you back the most. Robert Kraft and the owners from, the original 10 will never want to lose money on their investment. So until they're gone and you have people come in who are willing to take that risk, you won't see it. All those factors together, you're looking at another 25 years before this stuff happens. Personally, that's what I think.
I think as well, and this is something that is going to take years of money, effort, time, planning. And I'm going to continually use them as example because I think, although they're not officially, they are in the league, but they're not actually in the league yet. All the stuff St. Louis is doing within St. Louis, as far as setting up a St. Louis 2 team, they're doing a lot of stuff, in the community to build up like the youth programs and scouting from there and setting up essentially an academy, like to basically fund the first team, but they're doing it in a way that gets the people of St. Louis invested in their team. So like the closest team to us on Long Island is Red Bull, which is an hour and a half away, 17 hours of Andrews driving through the city. And, the area around it isn't like, you would have no idea that the stadium's there until you actually can see the stadium. Like there's nothing in the surrounding area that says there's a professional soccer team there and the people in Hoboken should care about it.
So if we ever go to another game, it is only going to be via train. I just want to put that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree. Connor.
I don't have anything else to add.
I thought you said you were thinking about something.
Yeah, I couldn't land on anything. Maybe it'll come up later on in another episode. But I would say I definitely agree. I like the point of I don't know how it would be done, but I like the point of trying to drive out the owners that aren't willing to spend and improve the league. I don't know how you would do that, but I think it's a good idea.
You take the money that isn't being given to clubs for transfers, you put together a package to buy out the contract of the owner and let them sell the team for whatever it is. Issue is current team valuation is $500 million. So you got to pay out $500 million.
For a bunch of teams too.
For a bunch of teams. You need somebody to come in. You need somebody with Elon Musk money to come in and be like, haha, I dropped this on the sidewalk. Would you like this? And then get out of my club. Thank you.
I saw something today, and this is just because you brought up Elon Musk. It would only take $6 billion to solve world hunger. And he just was like, nah, I'm going to buy Twitter. For times more than that.
That is definitely an off recording conversation.
Yeah.
Because we usually only go for about 45 minutes, but with Adam as a special guest, we stretched it up a little bit. But let's finish up. We got 3 questions left. Does college soccer hold pro American soccer players back?
I think now it does.
Interesting.
Kind of agree.
I think there wasn't a whole lot, at least when I was playing, and this is gonna make me sound old.
You are old.
I know. There wasn't necessarily the pathway to get scouted to whether an MLS team, certainly not a European team. So the highest level realistically you could play was college, and then if you were good enough to play a D1 or get, drafted into the MLS or whatever, like then that was the next step you took. But there was no one scouting Weston McKennie at 17 to go play for in Europe. Like no one was scouting Pulisic at 15 when I was growing up. So I think now if you play in college, yeah, you might get scouted, or you might get drafted to the MLS when you declare it, but I don't think Augsburg is watching JMU smack up Hofstra every week.
I actually disagree with both of you. I would say that college holds players back way less now than it did 10 years ago. Because, speaking of which, 10 years ago, that's when you were in college. You were really old.
10 years ago, I was in high school.
Oh, was 10 years ago when you guys were losing the county championship?
11 years ago, but yeah, continue.
Oh, that struck a nerve. With the development of the youth system in American football, with the development of the academy system, with the development of the US coaching philosophy, with everything that is being developed currently, players are more frequently getting put into professional atmospheres, where college is less about holding them back and more about just giving them game time in a more competitive atmosphere, if that makes sense. So you've got players like, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the guy's name who won the Herman Trophy this year. Oh gosh, now I feel dumb. It started with a T. I think it's Talvera. Hold on. Polvara, sorry. Dante Polvara. Dante Polvara grew up playing in the New York City Academy when it developed, went to Georgetown for 3 years and instantly signed with Gladbach?
At Aberdeen.
Aberdeen? Yep, Aberdeen. Joe Scally's at Gladbach, sorry. Right, so he was being scouted in the City Academy. They didn't go to Georgetown and watch him play, but because of his time in the youth system, playing at Georgetown was just playing at Georgetown. I think college is just that filler time between when they can actually sign. You're also seeing more and more players go directly past college through to the first team from academy systems now. I mean, you see it with players all the time. So I would disagree by saying that it holds them back as much as it is just a chance for them to play at a more competitive level. Do I think that more players who have aspirations to play pro should stay in the academy system and, play USL Pro or whatever? Sure. But I don't think we have a system that gives us that much flexibility yet. I don't think we have a system where you can go from high school straight into like a youth system, a youth pro system. And then if it doesn't work out, like you'd be okay. You know what I mean? Like if it doesn't work out after 3 years, you're now 3 years pulled from college and you've got nothing. But I would disagree. I don't think college holds pro American players back. I think if you're good enough to be a pro player as an American and you choose to go to college, people already know that you're good. College isn't going to hold you back. Cone Man? Anything else you want to add there?
There's probably plenty more I could add, but we still have 2 more questions and we're easily over an hour.
Well, one of them is something we've talked about before. So you can share a little bit.
So I was looking at former Herman Trophy winners, most of which, these guys have had successful careers. But I would just, if I were a talented, young, up and coming player, and I had the choice of a college or going into an academy, I'm gonna pick an academy because when I look at this list, I see guys who have made like good careers in MLS and guys that have good potential now for MLS, but the best guys in the men's national team system didn't play college. They were in academies. So I think if you're comparing academies to college, I think college holds them back. But I think college is useful in terms of giving others a chance to develop and be successful within a different scope as opposed to just successful on the worldwide scale.
Okay, we are on the same page here. I think we are all trying to say the same thing with different results. I think that if you are good enough to be a pro player, you're either not playing in college or people already know that you're good enough, so you're going to get college just in case you tear an ACL and you need some backup plan. People who are playing Division I college soccer, few and far between, are not the ones going to be in the men's national team picture. You look at Daryl Dike, he's an exception, obviously. But you're not going to find your Christian Pulisic's, your Weston McKinney's, your Eunice Moose's. You're not going to find those through the college system. You'll find good players, but it won't be like it is now, where you're getting them more out of your academy system, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I think we're on the same page. I think we're just saying it in 2 different ways.